What would you do if the people you trusted most laughed while your child cried? Some moments change your life forever. For me, it happened on Christmas night, during what was supposed to be a peaceful family dinner. 6 months later, I still replay that moment in my mind, because it taught me the painful difference between keeping the peace and protecting the people you love. My name is Mia, and 6 months have passed since that unforgettable Christmas. But even now, the memories still feel painfully fresh. Just a few days ago, my son Lucas took his first steps in our backyard. I watched him wobble toward me with tiny, determined movements, his little arms stretched out for balance, and I couldn't stop smiling. In that moment, I realized how far we had come as a family. Because the road that led us here was not easy. It began with a Christmas dinner that went terribly wrong, and ended with me finally understanding what love, boundaries, and family truly mean. That Christmas, my husband Ethan and I drove to my parents' house in Seattle. Ethan had only recently returned from a long military deployment, and all I wanted was a quiet holiday with the people I grew up with. I wanted Lucas to experience the kind of warm family Christmases I used to believe in. The kind filled with laughter, comfort, and togetherness. But the second we walked through the front door, I knew something felt off. My brother Jake had completely transformed the dining room into a recording studio. Bright lights were hanging everywhere. Cameras stood on tripods in every corner. His phone was mounted on a stand, already streaming live to his audience online. Jake had always been obsessed with social media attention. He loved filming everything, especially moments he thought might go viral. And the look in his eyes that night told me he was already searching for his next funny moment. Lucas was exhausted from the long drive. He was rubbing his eyes, squirming in his high chair, fighting sleep. At first he made soft little cries, the kind babies make when they're uncomfortable and trying to hold it together. I immediately reached toward him, ready to pick him up and calm him down. But my mother stopped me. "Leave him for a minute, Leticia," she said casually. "He'll settle himself." I tried to stay patient. I really did, but Lucas kept getting more upset. His cries became louder, more desperate. Every instinct inside me told me to comfort my son. I reached for him again, and before I could even touch him, Jake suddenly grabbed a glass of water from the table and threw it directly into Lucas's face. Then he laughed, not nervous laughter, not awkward laughter, real laughter, like he had just done something hilarious. Water dripped down my baby's cheeks as Lucas screamed in shock and fear. And Jake looked at me with a grin and said, "Relax. It's just a little water." For a second, the entire room went silent. I couldn't move, I couldn't think, I was completely stunned. Then Ethan slowly stood up from his chair. He didn't yell, he didn't slam his fists or lose control. But there was something in his expression I had never seen before, calm, controlled anger. He walked over to Lucas, gently lifted him out of the high chair, and held him tightly against his chest. Lucas was sobbing uncontrollably, his tiny body trembling. My hands shook as I grabbed napkins to dry his face. And somehow, unbelievably, Jake still looked amused. "It was just a joke," he said. "You people are seriously overreacting." My mother immediately tried to smooth things over, saying Jake was only trying to lighten the mood. My father avoided eye contact completely, staring down at his plate while mumbling that we shouldn't ruin Christmas over a prank. But Ethan had reached his limit. He looked directly at Jake and said, calmly but firmly, "You need to leave. Right now." Jake blinked in disbelief. "You can't tell me what to do," he snapped. "This is my parents' house." Ethan didn't back down. "I'm not asking," he said quietly. "If you don't leave, I'll make you." The entire room became tense. My sister Lily looked pale, frozen between fear and embarrassment, glancing back and forth like she was watching a disaster unfold in slow motion. Jake tried laughing again, pretending none of it mattered. He even mentioned that the live stream was still running and that his viewers would probably love the drama. That's when Ethan turned to me and said, "Get Lucas's blanket. We're leaving." No argument, no discussion. Just certainty. As we walked toward the door, Jake shouted after us, "You're ruining everything," he yelled. "You've always been too sensitive." My mother begged me not to make a scene, but something inside me finally broke. I turned around and looked at her and asked, "How much worse would it have to get before you actually cared about what he just did to my son?" She had no answer. Outside, the freezing Seattle air hit my face, but for the first time all night, I could finally breathe. Lucas had stopped crying, but he still clung tightly to Ethan, trembling against his chest. Ethan strapped him carefully into the car seat before getting behind the wheel. The drive home was silent. The city lights blurred past the windows as I sat there replaying everything in my mind. And somewhere during that drive, I realized something painful. I had spent most of my life making excuses for my family. I was always the one who stayed quiet to avoid conflict, the one who laughed off hurtful behavior, the one who absorbed everyone else's dysfunction just to keep the peace. But becoming a mother changed something in me, because now it wasn't only about me anymore. 2 days after Christmas, I received a message from Lily. "Check Jake's page." The second I opened his social media account, my stomach dropped. Jake had uploaded a video of the incident, but he edited it carefully to make himself look harmless and funny. He'd added upbeat music, cut out Lucas crying, and captioned it, "Some people just can't take a joke." Thousands of strangers were defending him in the comments, calling me dramatic, saying parents today were too sensitive. I felt sick reading it. When I showed Ethan the video, he looked at me and said, "Save everything." So I did. Over the next several days, I gathered screenshots, clips, messages, everything. I also spoke with relatives who had witnessed Jake's behavior over the years. And what I learned shocked me. Apparently, this wasn't new. Jake had a history of using children in his videos for attention. Scaring them, humiliating them, making them cry, all for views and laughs online. Every time someone confronted him, he dismissed it as comedy. That's when I decided I was done staying quiet. I contacted an attorney named Sarah who specialized in family law and harassment cases. After hearing everything, she told me something I'll never forget. The truth is not defamation, and documented truth is even stronger. Jake eventually had a lawyer send me a threatening letter, accusing me of damaging his reputation. But Sarah helped us respond formally, stating that every claim we made was factual and backed by evidence. We also warned Jake that he had used family members and private events in monetized content without permission. If the harassment continued, we were fully prepared to take legal action. The family reaction was divided. Some relatives quietly admitted they had always known Jake crossed the line. Others blamed me for tearing the family apart. But by then, something had changed inside me. For the first time in my life, I no longer cared about being the peacemaker. I only cared about protecting my son, and eventually, the consequences caught up with Jake. Sponsors began dropping him one by one. His audience shrank. People started criticizing his content instead of defending it. He tried blaming me publicly for ruining his career, but fewer and fewer people believed him. His channel slowly collapsed. 6 months later, things are very different now. Jake still uploads videos, but the energy is gone. The attention is gone. Most of his content now consists of generic travel clips and forced motivational speeches. Meanwhile, my family has finally been forced to confront the truth they ignored for years. My relationship with Lily has become stronger. We've had long, honest conversations, and she admitted she had been uncomfortable with Jake's behavior for a very long time. She just never had the courage to say it out loud. My parents are still struggling with everything that happened. My mother has started counseling. My father has become quieter and more reflective. There's still pain there, still distance, but for the first time, there's also honesty. And maybe that's the beginning of healing. As for me, I learned something I will carry for the rest of my life. Love does not mean tolerating harmful behavior. Family does not mean accepting disrespect. And protecting your child is never an overreaction. Looking back now, I realize that Christmas changed me forever. That was the night I stopped being the daughter who sacrificed herself to keep everyone comfortable. And it was the night I fully became a mother, Someone willing to stand up, speak out, and protect her child no matter who stood in the way. And if I had to do it all again, I would make the exact same choice.